All right, old school NBA fans, self-researched, NBA facts. Got another video for you. As always, thanks to anybody who watches my videos, subscribes to my channel. I really appreciate it. I want to give a special thanks to Psychem2539. Thank you very much for the super thanks. I really appreciate it. Very generous of you. Thank you. In this video here, when I looked at game scores a while back, I looked up like the best ones and that kind of thing. I did a video on it a few months back. But what I didn't include was some of the worst games and how many did some of the all-time greats have. Now, game score only goes back to the late, I want to say 1979, something like that. So there's a lot of players that won't be included, older players. And I know some of you guys are fine with that. But either way, the game score tends to favor the modern player. I saw that firsthand. Big time. But not all the modern players were the ones that did the best. But it seems that, with the assists being very easy to get, not calling fouls as much, because I guess personal fouls actually is held against you in game score. That's just another, element to this whole thing. But everything else is factored in. Offensive rebounds, defensive rebounds, all the stats. Steals, blocks, free throws, field goals, all that. Everything's factored in. It's just a way to measure, I guess, games. And who had good games, bad games, and you can actually compare by position. So if anybody played under 20 minutes, I just didn't even bother counting it. Most people did, but sometimes there was injuries. Like Kobe had one in the 2000 finals. Magic Johnson had one in the 1989 finals. It happened. So I didn't hold it against anybody. I think that's ridiculous to do so. So the first player here, I'll just get into it so you can see what I'm saying. Giannis Antetokounmpo. In his 79 playoff games, he's had 10 single-digit game score games. Now, single digits is not really a very good game. There was some of them, though, that actually weren't that bad of a game, I thought. But again, they take everything into account, and they would know better than I would. It's a consistent, structured formula that works across all eras, all positions. That much we can all agree with. So 10 out of 79 games for Giannis. That's 12.65% of the time. His career low is 1.8. He actually had a game that bad. Now, many of those was earlier in his career, but even still, you know what I mean? I didn't count it if a player came off the bench either. I just thought that, you're not really in the, you're not immediately in the game flow and that kind of thing. So a lot of times players were either too young or too old when they were like Shaq in Boston in 2011. Come on, Olajuwon in Toronto, I think it was in 2002. No, we're not counting that. Kobe is a rookie. Sometimes he played 8 minutes. That's Giannis. That's about average, maybe even a hair worse than average. David Robinson. Now, he did really good when he was younger, but he got older, the game scores started dropping. In his 111 games, 20 he had single-digit game scores in, 18.01%. His career low was 3.7. So, to me, not really that great. But he's also in the 90s. 90s players, it was harder for them because they got called for fouls and stuff. They didn't get the stats quite as easy as they do now. Kevin Durant, single-digit game score 9 times out of 169 games. That's actually really good. That's a 5.32% of the time. So that's, 1 out of every, 19 games, something like that. That's pretty good. His career low was negative 1.9. That was his career low. Kevin Garnett. Kevin Garnett had 24 of his 131 playoff games, single digits, 18.32% with a career low of negative 4.6. But the funny thing about Garnett, he only had one the whole time he was on Minnesota. All of these came when he was on Boston, every one of them. Like I said, I think there might have been 1, maybe 2 when he was on Minnesota. All the rest is when he was on Boston. Karl Malone, he's got 23 single-digit game score games. out of 189 playoff games, that's a percentage of 12.16 with a career low of negative 0.2. However, 10 of his 23 was in 2004 when he was on the Lakers and not the number one option, not the number two option. So, almost half of his came in his last season when he was older, not the number one option. Something to really keep in mind, because you could basically chop that close to in half. He's probably around 7% otherwise if you take 2004 out, which is really good. Karl Malone just didn't have a lot of bad games. So any reason that Utah lost, it was not because of Karl Malone in the playoffs most of the time. Let's just say that. Steph Curry. Steph Curry had 14 of his 146 playoff games, single-digit game scores, 9.58%. That's a career low. His career low was 2.2%. And I would say that percentage is okay, right around average. 10 to 12 seems to be about average. It's okay. LeBron James in his 287 playoff games only had 14 single-digit game score games. That's actually really good. That's a percentage of 4.87%. That's good. Now, he was aided because he's one of the modern players, like Curry, like Durant, like Giannis, because the personal fouls just weren't called as much. They're just not called as much now. They're just not. Sports and Fitness Rants did a video today, actually, and I caught some of it. And he said that LeBron didn't even get called for a single foul last night. It's just like, see, that's what I'm talking about, that kind of stuff. LeBron's career low, he actually had 2 negative games. He had a negative 0.1, but his worst was this one, a negative 0.7.
41-37, LeBron struggling, and Doc Rivers called him Shaq at guard. Frank, he was like Shaq at the line. Team that doesn't sound impressive, but in a game like this, it kind of was. LeBron James called for the offensive foul right there. There's one of those turnovers. Good job by Pierce, considering he had nothing for them. 4 minutes without scoring until Garnett hit that shot. LeBron James, no. Big Z, yes. We're tied at 72 with 39 seconds left. Now 25 ticks to go. KG against Joe Smith. Yeah, no timeout and no help defense there from the Cavaliers. Garnett makes a terrific move to the basket over the veteran Joe Smith. Advantage Boston. Now it's LeBron's turn with the rock guarded by James Posey. Z comes to the screen. LeBron gets by the finger off of the tie. How did he miss that shot? And you know what I like what Boston did there? They stayed home on the three-point shooters.
Yeah, that was his worst game. I believe he went 2 for 18 with 10 turnovers in that game. That's how you get a negative game score. And of course, the LeBron people say, he almost had a triple-double. He had 12 points, 9 rebounds, 9 assists. But he still had a negative game score. That's what happens when you're 2 for 18, 0 for 6 from 3, putting up a bunch of bricks. You know what I mean? That's what happens. You're going to get a negative game score. Jordan once had a 3 for 18 game. And he had a game score over 20 because he was like 16 for 17 from the line. He had like 11 rebounds, 8 assists. He was doing it, you know what I mean? In every other facet of the game, he was doing it. He just didn't shoot well in that particular one. So anyway, that's LeBron. Shaquille O'Neal, he's got 25 out of 218 games for 11.46%. Again, that's about average. His career low was negative 4.7. But like a lot of these players, when they start getting older, their game scores really drop. That happened with Shaq, Garnett. There's a couple other players you're going to see as well. When they got older, the game scores started to drop. So, just saying. Not everybody can, have all their explosiveness, still intact when they're in their late 30s and 40 years old. You can figure out for yourself how that's happening. Tim Duncan has 38 single-digit playoff game scores. In 242 games, 15.7%, which isn't really that great. No, it's pretty high, actually. His career low of 2.0. Again, as he got older, the game score started to drop. But here's a guy that, he had almost all his, in the last 2 or 3 years of his career, still had a remarkable percentage. Hakeem Olajuwon. In his 140 playoff games, at least the ones that he played at least 20 minutes in, he had only 8 were single-digit game scores. That's awesome. 5.71%? Oh, yeah, that is legit. His career low was negative 2.3, and I believe that was his last game on Houston, something like that. Again, most of these were towards the end of his career. I mean, the first 12 years of his career, he had 2. I mean, the guy was just a machine, just a consistent machine. He did not have bad games very often at all. As you can see, 5.71%, yeah, that's pretty legit. That's one of the best scores on here. Here's another guy, Larry Bird. In his 162 games, only 11 single-digit game scores. 6.79%. His career low was 1.9. Very good score for Larry Bird. Kobe Bryant's was just okay, and I did not include his first 2 years when he was a rookie and his second year when he was coming off the bench. Kobe Bryant, in his 200 playoff games, because I took out the one in the 2000 finals, 22 for 11%. I didn't think that was very good at all. I mean, it's average, meh. His career low was negative 0.4, and that was, I think, in 99 or 2000, one of his early years. So, yeah, Kobe was just okay. Magic Johnson, look out. Magic Johnson in 189 playoff games, didn't count the one in the 89 finals, only had 7 single-digit game score playoff games. That is the best on the list so far at 3.7%. His career low was 4.6. And I just wanted to add this little clip in here because this was the 4.6 game for Magic and also the last game he ever played.
They are really taking it to the Lakers, getting down the floor much quicker than the Lakers do. Still has it. Over to the far sideline where it's a missed shot by Magic Johnson, but the ball comes back to Magic all the way in there. Good pass by Magic. Good read by Magic. Excellent pass to Campbell, who scored. Shoot a three-pointer. That looks good, but it's too long. Rebound to Magic. Can't. We did. Here's Magic with the ball against Brown. Swing left, right-hand hook of 10. That's good. And that's a good omen for the Lakers that he makes a hook shot because it was on vacation in game number 3. Takes it in back in there. Gives to Johnson. He's down the middle. Throws up a bank shot. Has to have a bounce, and he got it. He didn't quite hit the glass with the bank. Hit the heel of the basket, then the glass. And the leg Magic down the middle. Magic in deep. Magic ought to score. He blew the layup, and the rebound is a 3.
So in 96, when Magic made the comeback, he played those 4 games against Houston or whatever. The last game, he was 2 for 8. He just, he didn't take a lot of shots. He didn't play great at all. But in that series, got to remember, he had a 5-year layoff from NBA action. In that series, in the 4 games, he led either team in points in one game, either team in rebounds in one game, and either team in assists one game. Fair to say, Magic would have been a legit player all through the 90s had he not gotten sick and decided to play that whole time. There's no doubt about it. He was coming off the bench being a power forward, and still he only had the one bad game. Worst game of his career was a 4.6, not even that bad. You know what I mean? It is, but not negative. He's not 1.2 or, a really bad game. No, Magic's was legit. No question about it. So we come to the final 2 players. The second best guy on the list is Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan, in his 179 playoff games, had 5 single-digit game-scored playoff games. And that goes for 2.79%. You'll find that that's really, really good. Jordan just did not have many bad games. He just didn't. If he wasn't shooting well, usually made up for it in other areas. But he did have some. His worst games, the 5 single-digit game score games, 1989 against the Knicks, I believe that was game number 4. 1993 against the Knicks, I think that was game 6. Or 5. I think it was game 5. 5 or 6, one or the other. The 1996 finals, I believe that one was game number 4. I think it was game 4. Everybody puts all the stock into, if Gary Payton would have guarded him. It's look, It wasn't Gary Payton. All right. Now Gary Payton obviously is a very good defender, but you think he was going to shut Jordan down? No, what happened was the whole team was guarding Jordan basically, and all the other Bulls got open shots and couldn't hit him. But anyway, I mean, yeah, Jordan did not shoot well in a few games. You know, it was a great scheme by Seattle, no doubt about it. And one of his 5 worst games was in the 96 finals. But he also, the next finals in 97, he had a really bad game, single-digit game score game too. So, you know, because Utah also employed a kind of a team strategy against Jordan. But his worst game of all, I just showed a clip of this a couple days ago about the turnovers, so that's why I didn't want to just play the same clip. But Game 1, 1995 Eastern Conference Finals, when Jordan got his ball stolen by Nick Anderson, and then the very next play makes the bad pass to Pippen, back-to-back turnovers. He only had a 2.6 game score. He didn't shoot well. He didn't play well. But the next game he came back and had a very good game. But even still, yeah, he did not have a good game. You know, I'm not going to use the rust as an excuse. Maybe he was. Never going to use the excuse. Now, the number one player who is just inside of Michael Jordan is Nikola Jokic. In his 80 playoff games, only had 2 single-digit game scores, 2.5%. I mean, that's extraordinary. Obviously, he's a point center. He's handling the ball a lot. Makes sense. His career low is only 7.2. Again, this is a guy who has benefited, you know, as far as game score goes, from the modern era. You know, he didn't have to worry about being a young player, you know, and maybe getting some low game scores because he didn't make the playoffs his first 3 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, he didn't have to worry about that. And he's only played a handful of, like, really good playoff teams in his whole career. I mean, who you got? Maybe the 2020 Lakers were a pretty good team. I think the 2021 Suns, pretty good. 2022 Golden State. And, you know, maybe Minnesota last year. That's about it. All the other teams he played in the playoffs, meh. Nothing special really at all. That's it. Those 4 teams. So we'll see. But, you know, like I said, Jokic really has only had his prime in the playoffs. He hasn't had his older years yet. And he also didn't even get his younger years, much like Curry didn't. You know, these guys just didn't make the playoffs their first 3 seasons. So I know that always gets skipped over when talking about these guys. But I don't skip over it. It is a factor. But anyway, there you have it. It's Nikola Jokic number 1 right now. It's Michael Jordan number 2. Magic number 3. Those 3 guys are the best since 1979, all-time greats. Those guys had the least bad games of any other player in NBA history. I think LeBron might have been 4th. Bird, I think, were pretty low. Durant was really low. Somewhere around that. LeBron was 4th or 5th. But anyway, that's all I got for this video. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked it, please hit the like button. If you wouldn't mind sharing the video, that would be excellent. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. Try to give daily content. And that's it. Until next time.